What would you do if you found out that like you got married and like you found out that she had 7 husbands before that?
That'd be a bummer.
Would you still stay through it?
You need to fucking talk about it, I feel like. But
I would run. I'd be done. All right, should we start with the pour?
yeah, you got things to look up.
So
Let's force off.
before you pour, I have a gift for you.
You waited. We've been hanging out for hours, and you just decided you were gonna give me a gift.
Me too. I know you got those cool glasses.
Holy shit! You son of a bitch.
You got me one too. So I got us these skull glasses, so we don't use the ones from our job.
Yeah,
And you know what's funny is because Peter also brought glasses, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cute. We finally have glasses." And then we
Tyler brought this whole like, what do they call this? A craft?
decanter. No, it's the other thing. Yeah, it's a yeah.
I think wine's for decanting.
All right.
Either way.
Pour,
Well, this shit. Let's get these out of here, dude.
you like them? Do you like it?
You like them?
Oh, are you angry, Pete? Are you excited?
No, this is excited Pete. This is not angry Pete.
Yeah, that's what happened. Oh, dude.
Oh, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Oh, dude. Let's get this skull up in front so we can see it fill up.
Freddy. To the Freddy. All right, cheers, sir. These are really hard.
As fuck. I didn't know we were shooting these.
Also planning on shooting it. Did you? Did you shoot the whole thing?
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, hello everyone that just is going to have one more and they promise they're going to quit next weekend. Welcome to Drunk and Demonic. I am your host, Jamie, and here is my good friend, also host, not guest.
I'm definitely the guest, dude.
You're not a guest.
Eternally guesting.
Not a guest.
I'm not ghosting, I'm guesting.
What's your name, dum-dum?
I'm Peter. That's my name. That's my name.
Welcome.
Dumb shit like
I
that.
don't know if I already say welcome to Drunk and Demonic. So, Peter, can you give us a little snippet of what we're going to be talking about this week on the episode?
All right. This episode, we're going to go through some good banter because we've got a couple things to address at the very top of the episode.
You could just talk about, let's just shoot into our first topic or our main event, and then let's go to our banter right afterwards.
But I have to address how much we have to talk about up front.
Okay.
So,
fine.
We've got a bit to talk about on the front. We're going to have an update and a news story on our Hell on Earth episode, or a Hell on Earth segment, as well as we're going to be discussing the case of Colorado's own Black Widow, Jill Coit. And this is a case that has flown under the radar for, I'm sure, every listener that we have, because there's only like 10 of them.
No, there was 40 last time, dude.
40?
Yeah, 40 views last time.
That's fucking crazy.
That I guess.
I thought we were still at 10.
We might.
I thought we were like 5 or 6 views each on all of our stuff. So, wow, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I really thought we were at 10 people still. No, it matters. We've quadrupled the number I guessed we were at. So that's
it's tripled.
We 400 times our listener base in the last 2 weeks, and I appreciate that. Either way, we're covering Jill Coit, who is, let's call her one of many, but a very interesting Black Widow meaning a woman who married and killed her husbands, that took place about, like, the murder that happened that we're going to discuss tonight took place a block from where we are at this moment.
Where are we at?
We are in downtown Steamboat Springs at the corner of Lincoln and 8th Street,
Colorado.
The murder took place on 9th and Pine.
Oh,
and
dude.
2 blocks from here.
We're 8th and Oak.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I guess we shouldn't say that, where we're at, so people don't come steal our shit, dude.
No, we can have face here.
We have so many locks, dude.
We don't keep shit here.
We have so much locks.
Yep. There's no locks here. It's wide open. Anyone that wants to come say hi, come in. We're here all the time. There's definitely not another business that runs here all the time during the day. Where are we at next?
I don't know.
Intro?
You keep just going, and I keep losing where we're at.
You have
So
to
you think
talk.
that was the... I'm sorry, that's my bad. So that's our main story, correct?
Correct. That's
Right.
the main story. But we
All right.
lots of shit to talk
And
about.
then we have a few things we want to talk about before we get into it. And I'm pretty sure we're going to start with our sponsors.
I think the first sponsor, just so we can get it out of the way, literally and metaphorically, is going to be Redwood Empire called Pipe Dream by Redwood Empire. It's the whiskey that we're going to be drinking tonight. It's just sitting on the table in front of us, so I figured we'd mention it.
Ooh, it's from Sonoma County, California. Like I said, this is an unofficial sponsor. No one sponsors us.
Aged in wine casks.
We just drink a lot.
Sonoma wine casks, man. What more could you ask for? Maybe some
What makes it a pipe
some
dream?
Willamette, dude. Maybe some Willamette wine casks, but other than that, Sonoma's like where it's at. Do you know the French did wine?
Is that a serious question? Shut up right now. I'm trying to read.
I think they're new into it, and it's silly. Better catch up.
Shut. I'm just trying to read what else is interesting about it. So this is made in the Redwood National Forest. It's got a John Muir thing because everything that involves outside in California talks about John Muir.
Yeah, he's the only person that's ever lived there before 1800.
He was the one that explored Yosemite.
Yeah.
That's why everything's named after. So it is Redwood Empire out of California. I think it tastes like bourbon.
I would say it has a bourbon flavor to it. We're drinking out of these fucking kick-ass skull glasses, which makes me feel like a goddamn Viking.
Do you feel like a Viking? I don't think they drink out of glass. They drink out of actual skulls. Yeah, it's got some bite. Not too much. Tastes like just all the other bourbons that we have. But this one is from California.
Represent Humboldt County, dog.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Get it. All right, what's your next sponsor, Peter?
Was it Zach Graff?
Garden State.
No, that was in New Jersey, right? Yeah. Okay. No, it's called
State.
Humboldt County.
I've never seen that.
It wasn't Zach Braff. It was what's his name? The dude, Jason Schwartzman.
Maybe. Either way, I haven't seen it.
Cool. This is
So I can't tell you what actors.
riveting content we're producing right here.
Exactly.
Man, this is so funny because we always get into these like talks about movies.
I don't.
And I just assume that you know
I don't.
what I'm talking about, and you never do, and I just keep pushing you on it. So
You just
listeners, I'm sorry.
You just. That's like, hey, what is your sponsor? You're like, have you ever seen this movie? I'm like, no, I haven't. And you're like, well, I'm gonna still keep talking about it.
Anyways, Redwood Empire, good work. We like the pipe dream. I'm drinking it. It's way better than most of the seltzers that I've ever had. So
speaking of your terrible seltzers, which bad one do you have tonight?
I don't have a bad one tonight. I have a fantastic seltzer. It's called Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. It is a phenomenal seltzer. It has hints of apricot in this one. I think that as far as this podcast is concerned, it's the best seltzer I've had on the podcast.
What's better than that when you haven't had on the podcast?
I think so. Like we've mentioned,
You're gonna say
before,
Fruit Smash.
I like Fruit Smash,
Set you up.
but I've only had bad Fruit Smashes available when we've done the podcast because it's always the bottom of the barrel one. and it's the citrus punch one that I don't fucking like.
So what is this? How does this rate to a fruit smash?
I would say this is equivalent. Very different flavor profile, though.
Equal or less than? Greater than?
Greater than. If I was gonna rate, I would put my favorite fruit, or not fruit smash. Fruit smash?
Yeah,
fruit smash. I'd put it at like an 8 on the scale of from 1 to 10. This is gonna be like an 8.5 or a 9
on the Richter scale.
Yeah, dude. Fuck's
like
creating some waves. Yeah.
Knows how to party. All right, with that being ado, my sponsor
That's not a saying. You know that, right?
I say it all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Saying.
It's not a saying.
Without further ado,
without being ado, is not
further ado. You just made it sound like it didn't. Shut the fuck up.
You're gonna go back
and talk.
You do the editing. You're gonna be like, hey, he definitely called me out for something that I say all the time.
Don't just talk and then say I'm gonna edit it out.
No, just you can do that.
No, I know, but I don't want.
We live here, dude.
How about
we? Just like 9/11, I don't want you to forget this moment.
I'm upset.
Never forget.
So my sponsor is Peter went and got me some beers while I was
big surprise.
And so it's Modelo. Just like most of the other ones. That's what I like.
Dude, I was going to get you some Dos Equis long necks. They're expensive.
Really? More than Modelo?
Those are cans.
Oh, you're
more expensive.
Bottles? Yeah, I like cans better.
Plus, they only had 6-packs. I'm like, I might need more.
No, I don't need more. But thank you. You also refused to let me give you money, so big time nice guy right here. Thank you so much.
Gin and juice.
Gin and juice.
By Snoop and Dre. That's going to be my sponsor for the night. I'm going to keep plugging them. Maybe they'll sponsor us officially.
Thanks, Snoop. Here's two white guys talking about murder. I'm sure you have nothing else going on. You're not at the Olympics or anything. He's everywhere, dude.
The Olympics are over, dude.
He's probably not there anymore.
He's probably still there, actually. He has straight up no idea where he's at.
Oh, don't say that about him. He's a good boy. He knows where he's at. He's probably doing cool shit that we're not doing.
I'm done.
Awkward silence.
What do you mean?
What do we got next?
I think we discussed our sponsors.
We did?
I honestly, I brought a whole, beautiful case of, I have a wine carafe or a whiskey carafe and some, really cool glasses and some whiskey stones. And all of a sudden, Jamie's just surprises me mid-episode. Not mid-episode. At the very, very beginning with these kick-ass fucking skull glasses.
They're sick. They're really hard to drink out of.
Fucking thank you.
They're cool. Do you like them?
Yeah, dude, drink out of the back of the skull. Don't drink through the nose or anything. We'll go kiss it. Dude, make them kiss.
Yes, while I drink it.
Make them kiss each other.
I don't want to do that with you. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna decline. Nothing personal.
The decline?
Not the decline.
Speaking of that,
let's get this out of the way and show your sweet no effect shirt.
Or are we gonna do this right now?
No, just showing it off real quick. It kind of looks like our logo.
But may or may not be our exact logo. I don't know if you can see that. Here we are.
I also have the same one.
We have the same proportions as obvious.
Well, we also went to the Snow Effect show and bought the same exact shirt. And I wore it last episode, but then it got messed up, so we had to re-record. And so now he looks like he's the one that had it first. And so I'll let you know I had that shirt first.
It's good to clarify. I'm glad we knew that.
I think technically you probably had it first because you got it the day before.
It was a crazy show, and we're not going to go into it because that's a different podcast that we do.
Exactly. So let's go into our next segment that we call Hell on Earth. Is it like Macho Man?
Yeah, brother.
All right, so it's Hell on Earth, like he just said. Looks like you're going to get to start out.
All right.
You have a whole shitload of stuff that you wrote down here.
So I have a story that I wrote that I was going to do for this segment. And it's long as shit, and it is rather intricate, so I wrote down all the details of it. I also have a follow-up story that I'm going to start with.
Okay.
about the case of Carly Gregg, right? We talked about this last time.
Yeah.
It's the little girl that, like, she's 14. She's sitting in court. She looks like fucking Stewart from Mad TV.
Oh, that. I was thinking also Arthur from PBS.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, she has this really. Did you look it up? She has this awful bowl cut.
Yeah, I've seen it tons of times.
Oh, so you've seen the case recently?
No, I just after you posted it, I did a bunch of videos on it afterwards.
My guy. All right. Yeah, because hey, this guy, big time editor in chief.
That's me.
Yep.
I don't know if the chief, but yeah.
You're my chief.
Okay.
But anyways, so the case of Carly Gregg was a little bit. I don't think I got into it enough last time, and that's my bad. But I had also just learned of it as I was coming into the studio last time. We're gonna call this the studio.
Yeah, totally.
So, Carly Gregg is being tried as an adult. There's some details that I've learned since then that make a whole lot more sense. First of all, she was, and this is not stuff that like matters why she's an adult. It's just interesting information. So she's the student of the year at her high school.
Right now?
Yes.
After being convicted.
Not.
No, was before. Okay.
Before.
So she's in person. Kind of.
The other bummer about the story is that her mom was also teacher of the year at that same high school.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
Yep. Science teacher. Apparently she was wicked cool. Right?
It's Ashley Smiley, correct? What's her name?
I do not. I know it was Ashley. Is it Smiley?
Smiley's left.
Oh, correct, because her last name would be Greg after. Yeah. Okay. She not only Carly Gregg is not only genius in her sophomore year of high school, took the ACT and got a 30, which, in full transparency, I think I got a 28 on the ACT when I was a senior in high school. I don't know. I'm not going to ask you.
I got a 19.
19? No, you didn't.
Yeah,
I'm
dumb as shit, dude.
You're not dumb as shit.
Well, I never studied or anything.
Yeah, exactly. This chick is like apparently wicked smart. The other part of this that is maybe the most incriminating thing in the whole story is that after she shot her mother, there's not a whole lot of like understanding why this happened. It could have been because her mother took her phone away from her, which is terrifying as a person that has a child that loves their phone. I don't want to be shot over taking away a phone. She took the phone from her mother's pocket and texted her stepfather, who she later shot, "Hey, when are you coming home?" from her mother's cell phone, right? Kind of priming that. After that, she had gone to her own phone and had asked a friend to come over, saying it was an emergency. Her friend showed up and she's like, "Hey, I need your help. Come inside." These girls aren't old enough to drive their own cars yet. So a dad drove her friend over.
Saying it was an emergency and he just left? He didn't like stick around?
He did.
Okay.
He stuck around for like a half an hour, and then she sent this girl out and told her dad, "Hey, I'm going to stay here with her for a little bit. I'll call you when I need to get picked up." Luckily, they're like a couple blocks away, so it wasn't a huge deal for her to like either make her way back home or to come get picked up by her dad. But he brought her there, right? So she gets this girl inside the home, and this is all like there's testimony to all of this. It's maybe the most damning evidence of the entire case, is that this girl claims that once inside, Carly says, "Hey, have you ever seen a dead body before?"
Like the movie, Stand By Me.
Proceeds to show her dead mother, who she just murdered. And then she says, "Hang around, my stepdad's on his way." And the girl is outside of the house and hears 2 gunshots right after her stepdad pulls into the condo that they own. So this other chick is the verifying witness in all of this, and is gonna be traumatized for the rest of her life, because this crazy bitch who wears a fucking ridiculous haircut, it's honestly, it's a bowl cut.
You really hung up about the bowl cut. So yeah, so this girl,
they made this chick look insanely dumb.
And she's not.
She's not. She's a fucking genius. And they have gone out of...
That's smart.
Right. So the biggest things are, we have evidence now, not just from the scene that Carly did it, but also we have eyewitness testimony from this other girl who has said that she was invited over by Carly, shown that she killed her own mom, and was like, hang out for a minute, I'm also going to kill my stepdad. This girl was apparently terrified. I don't know what her legal ramifications are going to be, but I'm sure that...
Still not convicted, correct?
No. The trial is 100% ongoing at this point. She, as of today, was ruled fit to stand trial. And that was, well, the whole argument that the defense was trying to make, which she needed a better lawyer if she was trying to make this argument, because so far she has had multiple filings about her mental health. And the lawyers were like, hey, she is mentally unstable and should not be able to stand trial for these crimes. And as not even, she's still considered an adolescent in Mississippi at the time of the murders, would be able to be recognized as an adolescent, not even a teen. And for whatever reason, her lawyers can't find someone that will validate that she is mentally unstable.
Yeah.
So
probably because she's not.
She's not. She's a narcissist, and that's where it kind of ends. So
a segue into what we're going to be talking about later.
Yeah. Our character tonight that we're going to talk about is, I think, maybe the most narcissistic person ever talked about. I'd say so.
Yeah, for sure.
We've only done 2 true crime episodes.
Yeah.
So
3 if you count Paul Ingram.
Oh. Yeah, we did have some interesting things with Erica and Julie, but
for sure.
This is a whole different level.
Oh, for sure.
Of narcissism, where murdering parents.
I keep trying to look it up and see in the day-to-day as well. So
yeah, it's a fascinating case. So far, the information that I've been able to find is the only way that she is getting out of this is pleading a mental health plea.
Yeah, you literally have
and her
eyewitness.
Yeah.
Proving that she did it.
Well, and also the only reason the cops were even called and came to investigate was because she attempted murder on her stepfather, and she missed his face and shot him in the shoulder, and he pretended he was dead, and then when she left the house with her friend, he called the cops. And it's just crazy to think that there's any reason why she should get out of jail, but I get, there's also it's a really weird situation because chick's 14 when she committed these crimes.
Yeah.
And maybe isn't even that mentally mature or physically mature. And are we going to sentence that person to life in prison for that?
Yes, she murdered her mom.
Her brain's not even close to developing.
Seems like it.
Yeah. I think that it's really interesting to even just consider the possibility of how do we handle those things though? Does that person just get thrown away and locked away forever?
That's a tough call.
That's what the judges are saying. They're saying nope.
How does she prove that she's not going to do it again? Really, it's an eye for an eye kind of thing. Innocent till proven guilty.
Yep. And that's where like the biggest the biggest thing of this case is that her defense is claiming that they're trying to get her at least minimum sentencing by claiming that she suffers from some type of a psychological disorder. And for whatever reason, they like can't get their shit together to find someone to corroborate the evidence.
Yeah.
They have been given multiple opportunities to like bring in experts to say yes. Because like it's documented. She has had like diagnosed disorders, and they can't find anyone or are unable to find anyone to come into the court and say, yes, she has a psychological disorder and it's not her fault that she did this.
I think it's going to be an interesting story to keep following.
Yeah, I think we have to keep rolling on it.
Yeah.
We'll end that. It's just a crazy story.
So
your turn.
All I had that I've been researching a lot lately is apartment complexes right now in Aurora, Colorado, that have been taken over by Venezuelan gangs.
The entire complex?
Both complexes. There's 99 units in each one. The slumlord, or the landlord, and all the tenants have been kicked out. The police are aware of everything, as well as the FBI has been informed. And still, there's nothing else that has been done about it.
In Aurora.
Yes, in Aurora. If you look it up online, a lot says that a lot of people blame the landlords for bad upkeep, and that's why these gangs have been taking over these two apartment complexes. But there's been multiple shootings. I don't remember if there's been deaths, but like there has been complaints about shootings, and they're full-blown Venezuelan gangs have taken over.
Okay, so I have like a couple questions. So like a takeover meaning what? Like there are no people that live inside, like...
Yes, well, okay, everyone has been kicked out of the place, as well as the landlord, and the only people that occupy these apartment complexes are people that are a part of this gang.
That's crazy.
And like, not to get
these are big
99 units, yes.
Yeah, big units. Like there's no fucking way that you can just like... Has the National Guard not been called on this?
And then so our FBI, like I just said, has been notified. And really no one has done much about it. And if you look at...
Fox Mulder isn't going to fucking fix this.
Well, if you look at it, if you try to research it online, it's very covered up. Like, hey, like a lot of the blame was on the landlords. Like
of course they're blaming the landlords. Because they like just like regularly face guns to their faces and told to fucking leave.
So if you watch it on like either Twitter or TikTok, which, you know what I mean, I don't like, none of those are like ever 100% true, but at least you get like...
No, you get the...
I have information. So there's definitely people...
That's where I got my information.
That's where you get people literally saying that like they saw it happen.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it. And a lot of it has to do with border control. Like, I don't know if you know that the Venezuela just got a new president.
Yes, kind of.
Yeah, and so he like started a new...
Maduro?
Yeah. Started a new policy where, I guess is what everyone's saying, is pretty much they took a lot of the gang members,
military coup, dude,
arrested them and threw them to our border.
Really?
Yeah,
that would make so much more sense, because like, yeah, Nicolas Maduro, like, that just... It wasn't an election. It was an election, and then they contested the results, and then they overthrew the results, and he had a full-on military coup to protest the results and install himself again as the president. That makes a shit ton of sense that they would just be like, yep, gang members, you're out because we don't want you here.
Well, and like, just like New York City or California, Colorado has very loose immigration laws. So that's why a lot of people have been taking spot there.
It's crazy though that you can just boot someone. Like, obviously, the landlords that they're talking about aren't the landlords. They don't own those places.
Exactly.
They're just like the supers, like the supervisors that fucking take care of the place, and they're like, hey, get the fuck out unless you want to lose your head. And they're like, yeah, I definitely don't want to fucking die for this like $75,000 a job, $75,000 a year job,
if that.
Yeah, maybe.
It's Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah.
55,000.
Yeah, let's call it 65 and 55, maybe 95.
Yeah.
With free housing. Yeah. Like, no fucking way you're gonna fucking stay through that.
Exactly.
Fucking let them have it.
So yeah, that's what I decided to go with because that seems pretty shitty.
Fucking nuts. That's like, I mean, like, these are cartels, like drug cartels that are
close to home.
That's a little close to home.
So don't go to Aurora.
Yeah.
Or if you live in Aurora, please speak up if we're just shooting bullshit and listening to what TikTok tells us.
Please keep us updated. We have to know about it.
I'm guessing you're not going to go through your other story then, because we have a little bit of time constraint, or you want to go through that Hell on Earth as well?
I don't know. I have a whole other story that I think we'll skip.
Yeah. So from there, do you have anything horror-wise you want to go over for horror news?
Not a ton. I just think that... So, Longlegs has definitely set a precedent for how movies will be marketed to the masses.
I still don't think it started with Longlegs.
It may have started with Longlegs, but I think that, like, I don't know. I didn't get social media until, like, 2014. And that's, I think, when Hereditary came out.
No, Hereditary came out, like, 5 years ago.
This is, like, 2016, 2018, something like that. Either way.
Your timing. No, let me look it up for you, buddy. Hereditary, talk about something when I look it up, sir.
Well, I mean, like, I can, but, like, so what I was talking about with the precedent that Longlegs has set is that Scream 7 is like dominating my feed again. And maybe it's just because, like, I'm just a silly little goose that just loves horror.
Mm-hmm.
So I just keep getting dumb-ass shit pumped in my feed by horror movies. But, like, Scream 7 is, like, every third or fourth post.
I've seen zero things about it, so that's weird. Most of it's just true crime.
Yeah. So I think that it's super interesting because this movie is literally about to start shooting.
Hasn't shot yet.
Hasn't even shot yet.
Trying to blow it up like crazy.
Dude, it's fucking ridiculous how hard I'm getting pumped. Like, my like, we're getting pumped by this movie. Like, fucking, it's gonna be the next best one after 3. It's like, well, the first 2 were awesome. And then they just kept getting more and more ridiculous. And I liked all of them, but, like,
I think they're too soon. They literally just came out with Scream 6, like, last year.
Yes.
Also,
yeah. The directors that did Scream 6 were the guys that did Annabelle.
Yeah. Would you care to guess when Hereditary came out again? I looked it up.
2018.
June 6, 2018.
It was good.
So, yeah, I think it's the best one out of all of them. Is there anything else Scream 7-wise you know about?
No, I was just saying, I keep getting, like, you know, they're saying that Neve Campbell is going to show up, that all of these original characters are going to show up. And it's not going to be necessarily their story, but they're going to be the drivers in the story. Like, I thought that was interesting. And then, all of a sudden, this was kind of random, and I haven't seen things like this before, but one piece slipped through in my, like, Instagram feed, and it was like, every horror franchise needs to take a look at what Predator did with
the prequel.
Yes, the most recent one, where, like, hey, what if we just, like, they were just, like, hypothetically, like, dropping shit and, like, drop the fucking Hellraiser box into ancient Greece. drop like figures that are timeless, like Freddy Krueger, into the future. And they kind of did that.
Jason.
Yeah, they kind of did that with, like, was that Jason X?
Yep.
Yeah. But, like, have you seen Predators?
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
It's fucking so sick.
It was so great.
I liked it a lot, and it was an hour and a half, which, like, is honestly refreshing because I like being able to watch a movie and just have it not drag on forever.
Yeah, I think they should not make Scream movies for like 10 years, and then they revamp it with everyone. Instead of just...
It dies soon, though, dude.
Oh, we'll see. They'll remake it.
David Arquette's going to be dead by the next time they make...
Don't say that shit, dude. You're going to go to hell.
Dude, Gil Weathers, David Arquette, Sydney... What is her name?
I don't know.
No, I feel bad. Anyways, Nev Campbell's character.
Yeah.
Dude, you're the host. I just assumed.
No, you literally, like, I was about to.
You need no introduction.
Well, I can't... If I can't get a word out, if I'm trying to talk and you're just like, well, guess what? And then I'm like, oh, I guess I won't talk. I guess I'll just fuck myself.
All right. Jamie's version of the horror news.
I don't really have anything.
You said all that up?
Just fucking...
Okay.
I did watch, I would say, most creative and scary movie that I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
This week.
I have to hear this because, like,
it was like, it blew me, or it got me by surprise just how, like, clever this movie was. So it came out, I think, either December of last year or, like, it finally got to streaming of this year. But I signed up for an AMC Plus free membership.
Talk to me.
No.
Okay.
We already talked about Talk to Me.
Yeah.
So I signed up, and it's on Shudder.
Yeah.
If you guys have Shudder, or you can get it on AMC Plus.
Okay.
But this movie is called Stop Motion.
Okay.
Have you heard about it?
I have not heard about it, like, one peep.
Okay, so Stop Motion, like it sounds, is about a girl who does stop motion animation movies. And what she's doing is she's finishing a stop animation movie for her mom, because her mom's arthritis got so bad that she couldn't do stop animation anymore. So the whole thing kind of goes where you see her moving the two characters in the movie for her mom, as her mom's, like, fucking screaming at her and just being, like, rude as shit, as, like, they do in horror movies.
Yeah.
And then, like, some scary noises happen, and then she stops and she's on the ground, and it cues into her being in the hospital. And so from that, the main character has to finish this movie for her mom, correct? And then so she starts doing that, and all of a sudden, this little girl comes in and is like, hey, you should do like this. Instead of doing this movie about this, you should do it about a girl who is being chased by, they call, the Ashman. And from there, what starts to happen is, without giving you guys the whole story, is these things start to slowly happen to this woman in real life. So she starts to where she can't figure out what's real and what's not.
Okay.
And so one of the fun things I can tell is, like, the girl that, like, tells her what the story is to be, she's like, I don't like what you made these out of. And she grabs a steak and goes, you need to make the head of the girl out of this meat, and convinces her to make the Ashman out of a dead fox. All sorts of fucked up shit like that. And then the rest, I'm going to leave you guys to watch yourself. But I thought it was one of the most creative horror movies I've seen in a long time.
I love it. I know that I don't always get to watch the movies you recommend, but I love hearing them because, like, it makes me feel happy about horror. we're going into horror season. As soon as September starts, clock starts.
It's always horror season. I also want to thank you for letting me talk.
Yeah.
It's very nice of you.
No, dude, I fucking love hearing you fucking tell me about these fucking movies because I don't get to see as many as I used to.
Like I just said, it was called Stop Motion. I think everyone should check it out. Let me know what you think.
It's kind of like a cerebral mindfuck kind of movie.
You'll see.
All right.
It's an hour and 33 minutes.
Love that. Again, love that.
So, right, yeah. With that being said, I think we kick it to that main event.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's episode will focus on Jill Coit. She is nicknamed the Black Widow of Colorado. A quote from the true crime author Anne Rule describes her as, Jill Coit's life was a twisted soap opera where the leading lady had a penchant for murder instead of melodrama. I'm going to challenge you real quick. I know that you know this story, but I don't know if you know all of this story. I'm going to challenge the listeners the same. Is that every time you say, dude, what the fuck? You have to have a drink.
Say less. I thought you were going to say that I was going to have to drink every time someone or a woman kills their husband and they call it the Black Widow murders.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Because trying to research this, you're like, which fucking Black Widow murder is it?
Yeah, we're talking about the Black Widow, Jill Coit
of Colorado.
Specifically, we're not doing a whole grand episode about a couple different Black Widows. Jill Coit's an interesting one. She had at least 9 husbands and 11 different marriages. Now, that might seem a little off, but
that too.
Keep in mind,
does an annulment not count?
That does count.
Okay.
She married the same guy a couple times. And so, like, getting divorced and remarried to the same person, we're going to technically be doing a dividing line there.
What the fuck is that dude thinking? Fair enough.
I don't know. So, I think we're just going to start.
Golden hoo-ha.
Yep.
Black
Widow hoo-ha of Jill Coit. Early life. She was born as Jill Lenita Bila in Louisiana in either 1943 or somewhere along the lines of 1948.
Okay. In between.
Yes.
Okay.
Between 1943 and 1948.
Okay.
A childhood friend remarked that she was always charming, but there was something about her that felt always off. She was sent to live with her grandparents in Indiana at the age of 15. Now, people claimed that this was because of boy troubles, which is one way to interpret it. There was also maybe some references to trauma between her and her brother, that her own brother had sexually assaulted her.
That makes more sense than boy trouble.
Explain a lot about her personality and how she continues on for the rest of her life. Her parents were highly religious, and as Jill, it's weird because we look at the photos in the modern age and we're like, I guess, like, everyone says that, like, she was, like, the most beautiful person they've ever seen, and, like, she served as a model at one point, but, like, I don't quite get it, but maybe it's just one of those things that...
Not at all. I think that's
the time, you know, in her time, maybe it was, like, she was super hot and didn't carry on.
Are you calling her ugly?
I don't know, dude. She has a really dumb haircut.
Are you dancing
in all the photos I've seen?
It's like a bowl cut, just like
like
Carly.
Fucking Carly Gregg.
Yep.
Stupid fucking bowl cut. When she was in Indiana, at age 17, she dropped out of high school and married Larry Enan in 1961 at the age of 17. He was an apprentice brickmaker who didn't have much in the way of money. When they were married, apparently she decided that she was going to wear street clothes during her wedding because the white wedding gown was apparently just for virgins and she didn't count. Within a year, the two were divorced, and Jill drained the couple's joint bank account and headed south back to Louisiana.
How old was she then?
18.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you already say that? I just like...
Within the year, she dropped out of high school at 17.
Yeah.
Within the year, had moved and divorced, and then moved back home to Louisiana.
And this blows my mind that she dropped out of high school. I felt all the intellect that we get from the story.
It's interesting because she wasn't necessarily dumb, but she did not apply herself in school at all. Maybe not the same thing as Carly Gregg. Anyways, here's another quote from a family member.
Okay.
Her first marriage was just a test run for the real game she was about to play. Her second marriage, so the first one ended within a year. Her second marriage is where we'll talk about now. Jill attended acting school in Louisiana and would focus on her studies for 3 years until eventually marrying a fellow student named Stephen Moore in 1964. Jill gave birth to her first son, Seth. What is that?
I'm trying to figure out how old she was.
She would be 21 at this time.
Math, what's up, babe?
Traditional age to be like finishing school in college. She gave birth to her first son, Seth, who will be extremely important as we go on in the story. Right after that, Jill left Stephen several months after the marriage and took Seth with her to Texas. I have also heard that Jill may have even taken Seth away from Stephen and left her just like with a random caretaker while she went to Texas. Not much is known about Stephen, but it seems that he and Seth did not keep in any sort of contact, and I think it's weird that Jill would take him away just to like leave him with a babysitter. So I don't really like... We should mention right now that Jill Coit's life is like very difficult to track. One, because there are not a ton of sources that have dug into this case, which made it difficult to research, but also she has a ton of aliases and fake names and weird stories that she has concocted through her entire life that make this case incredibly difficult to research and entirely difficult to pin down. After Stephen Moore, she married another man named William Coit Jr. He was a successful engineer for the Texas oil company, Tenneco. Couple married in January 1966. Surprisingly, and not for the last time, Jill was still married to Stephen Moore and would be married to both men for another 14 months before her divorce was finalized with Stephen Moore.
Can you do that? Is that legal?
Not legal at all.
So technically she wasn't married.
Unless you're in Utah.
Touché.
I wish that was like a dig on them, but it's actually true. So you can go to Utah if you want to get married to multiple people, but other than that, you can't do that.
Come for the
federal crime, but they will not prosecute it in the state of...
Come for the rock climbing, the beautiful national parks, and the double marriage.
Exactly.
4% here. God bless Utah.
Jill kept William Clark Coit in the dark through all of this as she was divorcing Stephen Moore. And the quote from the lead detective on the case following, he said, "Her web of lies is as intricate as any spider's." William Clark Coit, or as we will refer to him now, from Clark and his family, were thrilled to have found Jill. He was a highly career-oriented man, and his mother was happy that he'd finally taken time to settle down and focus on his family. However, that family quickly soured on Jill, as she was eventually found out to be anything but the Southern belle she'd originally portrayed herself as in the first family's get-togethers.
Story of our lives, huh?
Yeah, right. It's good for expression. Yeah, dude, we're fucking hella good time, dude.
Act pretty cool at first, and then turn to shit. Cheers, sir.
Oh, shit, dude.
Let's do it, dude. In the middle. So hard to drink out of.
Nice crunch.
Where were you?
It was around this time that the couple also created a good friendship with a neighboring couple, the McCurdy family. In the early years of their marriage, the couple would often spend time together and have parties and barbecues at each other's homes, just two young couples having a good time together. On November 11th, 1966, the couple welcomed their first child, William Andrew Coit, and again, on March 1st, 1968, they welcomed William Clark Coit III. I don't know if you caught how weird this was.
No, it was really hard to follow, to be honest with you.
So,
everyone's named William Coit.
yes.
How many other Coits?
Jill is married
Okay.
to William Clark Coit II, Jr.
Uh-huh.
They named their first son William Andrew Coit. Doesn't technically count.
Exactly.
And then
we learned the previous.
Yeah, so the first son is William Andrew Coit. Second son is William Clark Coit III. They named their kids the same fucking name. They just had one go by Andy or Andrew, and the other one go by Billy.
Okay.
It's fucking dumb.
Yeah. That's what they did in the 80s and the 70s.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm a James. My dad's a James.
Yeah, dude.
You're a Peter.
I am.
Your dad's Peter.
Yeah, but I don't also have a brother named Peter.
That's a good point.
And I think that's like the dumbest part of it. I don't know. You don't have another James, right?
No.
From your dad?
No.
Right. That's why, like, it's super weird. They're like, hey, we should name them the same fucking name, but we'll, like, maybe change their middle name, and then we'll just call them by their middle names instead of their first names.
Yeah.
How we should
what's the point of fucking first name?
It's all fucking dumb. It's super Texas. Sorry for everyone that lives in Texas.
This is Mississippi. Also that.
All right. During Billy's birth, partial hysterectomy was performed on Jill. Now, this is an important detail as it meant that Jill could no longer have any children. Jill seemed to enjoy the family life at first and enjoyed having family parties as such, and was often seen having parties with the McCurdy's. However, Jill would eventually get bored, and her flirtatious nature would begin to cause troubles. Rumors began to swirl about Jill being engaged in multiple affairs while Clark was on the road with his job, ranging from her hairdresser, obviously the milkman. Like, literally, the milkman was, like, named in the suit. There was the post office, like, the postman. Yeah. Like, all of, like,
the hairdresser was a man, too? Hairdresser was a man, too?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
was the lady.
Yeah. She had, like, all of these, like, charges levied against her, like, not in court, just in public opinion.
Well, so also, wasn't she really braggy about it?
Yeah. She claimed to Virginia McCurdy, who's the wife of the neighbor. Like, so we have Virginia McCurdy and Phoebe McCurdy.
Mm-hmm.
These are the two neighbors that, like, they have spent all of their time with in this subdivision outside of Houston, where they live. And the two had kind of, like, grown a little bit separate since the children, mostly because the McCurdys had not had their own children. They were kind of still, like, living their young life. And then Jill would tag along with them and leave
the Williams
Clark at home. That's kind of, like, where she met all of these men. And they would see her, like, go off with these men. And they, like, didn't know what happened. But eventually Jill claimed to Virginia that she was upset that one of her partners was cheating on her and that she wanted to get revenge. Now, we should clarify, there's no evidence that any revenge was ever exacted. But the fact that Jill thought that it was not okay for someone that she was stepping out on to
step out on her,
was just absolutely unacceptable to her. It's like something that maybe...
Like Tyreek Hill.
What?
Tyreek Hill?
What about Tyreek Hill?
Football player has 12 kids with all different moms. He gets mad.
Is that real?
Yeah. We can talk about it.
Runs fast, he comes fast?
I guess.
Man, good for him, I guess. I don't really know.
Maybe he doesn't.
It's kind of like the Nick Brandon thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. They're just want a legacy.
Man, that's a bummer. How do you take care of that many kids?
You don't. Money.
I got, like...
You just get money to
it's not.
And they take care of them.
I mean, I guess, like, if you didn't have to go work ever, like, I guess you could just take care of the kid.
Kid needs a father figure.
Yeah, dude, you don't learn
That's how they start.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bad news.
Bummer.
Anyway, sorry. Where were we?
Eventually, word of Jill's infidelity circled back to Clark, who filed for divorce from her. A bitter custody battle ensued over their children and the money that was involved. However, 3 weeks before the hearings for the case were to commence, Clark was found shot twice in the back by the neighbor Virginia McCurdy. In the weeks since filing divorce, Jill had left town and gone back to New Orleans. She had left her children behind with Clark. However, a day before his murder, Clark had returned home to find all of the furniture gone and that their firstborn son had been taken. Jill had apparently left their second son, Billy, behind on the floor, and Clark found him crying on the living room floor.
Jesus Christ.
She returned later that day to pick up all the rest of the furniture and the child. At this point, Clark emptied his bank accounts, sure that Jill was going for them, and had hidden the cash or kept it on him personally. Clark relayed all of this information to his best friend and neighbor, Bebe McCurdy. So when Clark did not show up for work the following day, Bebe asked Virginia to see if he was home. He knew Clark was struggling and was afraid that he had actually killed himself. However, when police arrived at the scene, it was obvious that Clark had been murdered, and there was one prime suspect they had in mind.
No shit.
It's really hard to shoot yourself in the back.
Yeah.
Authorities began to search for Jill and eventually located her back in New Orleans. Jill, anticipating that she would be primary suspect and had been one step ahead of the police, had taken advice from her lawyer and later to be her fifth husband, Luis de Rosa. Jill had checked herself into a mental hospital. This move not only shielded her from having to speak with police, but blocked any extradition to Texas.
What?
I don't know what the fuck happened with this case. It could have stopped her at this point. From what I saw and what I read and heard in different podcasts, at this same exact time, the Houston Police Department was dealing with their first major serial killer, Dean Forrell, who was pretty much luring children into his web and then kidnapping them and killing them.
Another spider.
Exactly. So there was nothing that was allocated to this like one little case.
Okay.
They were all focused on this huge serial killer case because as this was happening, the Coral case had become national news. So any investigator that was involved with the case was having to do like multiple interviews and questions and all this stuff. So it didn't leave a whole lot to like investigate weird other crimes that obviously had been committed by people. Yeah, like I said, I can't find a whole lot more information on why this case died, but it definitely just died upon the fact that they were not able to interview her and they weren't able to extradite her back to Texas. Upon exiting the mental health facility, Jill would reclaim her three sons as well as Clark Coit's fortune and move to California.
About time.
Yeah, she doesn't do a whole lot better in
I
California.
can't believe they just like, oh, sorry, we got way more murders to worry about.
Oh, there's bigger stuff. There's bigger fish to fry.
Also, do you like that we decided to go old school and we have papers? I feel like a news reporter.
Yeah, dude, I printed off the whole thing.
This just
to use phones because I feel like I was kind of corny with the fucking.
Well, I'm just too blind.
Yeah, that's fair.
Shit.
But I don't think that really matters.
Hold on 1 second, sir.
Go for it. Oh, dude, you're not plugged in. You're gonna die.
That's why I said hold up.
Oh, jeez. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take this point to drink as heavily as I possibly can.
We're back, baby. Sorry, I didn't plug in my computer. Good dummy. But
Oh,
sorry.
help your boy out, dude.
You know what I found though? Found Jason.
Oh, get him up, dude.
Look at our nerdy little Funkos. They're all mine. I just say ours, but they're mine.
All right, so far, Jill has mostly used marriage, specifically with William Coit, to gain a shit ton of money. She changed up her motive a little bit, and instead of marrying into money, she went to San Francisco and convinced a 90-year-old Bruce Johansson to adopt her. She was like she was 33 at the time. I don't know if that doesn't seem ridiculous to you.
No, because I already read it. It's not as shocking to me. Sorry. I already was like, the first time I saw it, I was like, what?
No, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever fucking heard.
I was confused because they like said like fourth marriage, but then they're like convinced this 9-year-old to adopt her.
Yeah, this is
Instead of marriage.
doesn't
Like,
convinces that it's not a marriage. It's an adoption for her as a 32-year-old woman. She convinces this 90-year-old dude to adopt her, and he dies shortly after of natural causes, apparently.
of course he does.
But when Jill is involved, there's like never any assumptions that natural causes should be involved. Jill, however, had little time to mourn Bruce Johansson's death, as she was preparing to marry her fourth husband, U.S. Marine Sergeant Donald Brody, whom she had met while in the care of Bruce Johansson. However, Bruce must have seemed distrustful of Jill, as she soon realized that he had shielded his money from Jill. She was not able to get it, as she quickly filed for
like a prenup.
I don't know if it was a prenup or how exactly it was. But like, he was able to take his money and keep it away from her, so that while they were married, she wasn't able to access it, and definitely when they divorced, was not able to access.
So she's like, "Hey, you're not going to let me have money? Divorce."
Yep, exactly. Knowing that she could not get his money either through being married, divorced, or by killing him, she resorted to a new measure that was just as ridiculous as the last one, where she tried to fucking be adopted by a 90-year-old dude. She faked a pregnancy and claimed to have given birth to his son. She went so far as to make fake birth certificates, and also had paid money to borrow a friend's baby when Brody demanded proof of the child in person.
You need a baby? I get your baby. That's
I'm gonna sell your baby though.
That's so fucked up.
Maybe letting your friend borrow a baby, but like, if you're gonna fucking rent your baby, maybe you don't deserve it.
This chick is fucking nuts, dude.
The major was skeptical and was catching on to Jill's schemes. To put the whole matter to rest, Jill claimed that the child had died and was buried in a cemetery. The major was devastated, as he believed that even Jill wouldn't stoop so low as to fake the death of her own child. Years later, the place where Jill claimed the body was buried was exhumed, and no body was ever found. This event never occurred and was just Jill's way of getting back at Brody for outsmarting her. We are now going to move on to Jill's fifth marriage. Knowing that she could get nothing else out of her relationship with Brody, she returned to New Orleans and married her longtime lawyer, Louis DeRosa.
Okay.
I think DeRosa is maybe her most stable partner she's ever been with. Not in the way that we think of stable,
okay,
but the person that was most often there to help her.
Fifth time's a charm. So that
DeRosa had helped Jill in her case concerning Jill Coit, as well as her adoption from Bruce Johansson, and forging the documents for her maybe son through through Brody. From here, the waters get really, really muddy concerning the knowledge of Jill's whereabouts and doings. With the help of her new husband, Jill would establish several fake identities and aliases, and she would use those for the rest of her life, both inside and outside of prison. We're going to, again, quote Anne Rule, a highly respected author in true crime. For Jill, marriage was just another business deal. The couple had a tumultuous relationship, and DeRosa would serve as both her fifth and her seventh marriage. Between her marriages to DeRosa, she married Eldon Dwayne Miter, an auction organizer. Not much is known about this marriage except that it was short-lived. And it was again another time that Jill was married to two men at once, as she had not actually divorced DeRosa when she had married Miter.
Doesn't count, you said, except for in Utah.
They had gotten divorced in Haiti, not in the U.S.
So that counts?
It doesn't really count. Jill's first divorce from Louis DeRosa was filed in Haiti, so it was never recognized in the U.S. However, that did not stop the couple from having another marriage when the two were reunited after her marriage to Eldon Dwayne Miter. I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but she married this dude twice, even though they didn't technically get divorced in the U.S. So they had two marriages. She was married to this dude. He kind of was like, hey, I'm going to do my own thing. Fucking leave me alone. She got married again to another dude, then divorced him, and went back to Miter. So this is why the numbers are weird, because it's not a direct correlation between marriages and men.
Yeah, no, it makes sense now. I get it fully. What you were saying before. Get to the murder. Where's the murder?
All right.
More marriage, less marriage, more murder.
This is where we begin.
I love it. How
Or
does this
specific
down? You see that?
Murder. What?
There keeps being the things that keep showing up on the screen. I'm like, murder. No, I'm mad. And it was like, give a thumbs down. I don't get where it comes from.
So, in her 8th marriage, Jill and DeRosa eventually split for good, and she moved with her boys back to Indiana. It is there that she met school administrator Carl Steely, who would, by my account, be her 7th husband and serve as at least her 8th marriage.
At least.
Like I mentioned, her years with Louis DeRosa were cloudy and hard to track, so I really don't know as far as the marriages and husbands are concerned. Her marriage with Carl seemed to be Jill's only real attempt at a normal life. She married and lived with Carl for 7 years. During these 7 years, Carl would often take the family, including Jill, on ski trips. And they would end up visiting Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Ooh, that's where we live.
Quote, she was a chameleon, constantly reinventing herself.
Good.
That's from a quote from a journalist who had covered this case. While the couple had at times talked of growing old together, the good life would eventually unravel as Jill would go back to her old scheming ways. Jill, after visiting Steamboat, had convinced Carl to buy a motel in Steamboat, and she would renovate and run the hotel or motel while Carl stayed behind in Indiana. When the school year ended, Carl traveled to Steamboat to reunite with Jill. He would be surprised to find out that Jill had not registered the motel in Carl's name, but only in her and her eldest son Seth's name. She explained that the money he had given her was gone, and that he was of no more use to her.
Yep.
The couple went their separate ways.
What motel is it?
So, it doesn't exist anymore, but you would recognize it.
Okay.
So, if we were to walk to Oak Street here, go 1 block to the west.
So take a right.
You know where the Quest building is?
Yes.
Directly across the street from the Quest building, there's that weird, it's kind of like a house with a bunch of apartments kind of in an L formation.
Yeah.
That is the motel.
What was it called?
I don't know.
All right.
It's
So it's no longer a motel.
It was mixed between Carl Steely and
Stoits. I'm interested.
Anyway,
still no murder.
After all that, well, there's definitely a murder that has already occurred, but we kind of
just the one
brushed over it. However, Jill and Carl's divorce would not come until after her 9th marriage and 8th husband, Gerald Boggs, owner and operator of Boggs Hardware in downtown Steamboat Springs. Do you know where Boggs Hardware was?
It's right there.
Nope.
Right over there.
I've been there.
Is it where the Pioneer Building is?
Vaqueros.
Vaqueros?
Correct.
I was there 2 days ago.
Yep.
It's way better as Vaqueros than it was
off the rush. Fucking dope as Vaqueros. Big ups to Vaqueros.
Big ups in the chat.
Yeah.
Put
them up, dude.
That's what Peter would say.
Vaqueros, get up in the chat. We got big ups for you, dog.
Vaqueros was Boggs Hardware.
Yeah, I had actually been there.
If you don't know what Vaqueros is, it is one of Steamboat's most beloved Mexican restaurants.
Yes.
I could say that. Other than Fiesta Jalisco,
their sister restaurant.
They're also connected. There are other ones.
Kick-ass Mexican restaurant. Let's just call it that.
Top notch. Chef's kiss.
Anyways, Jerry Boggs was described as a man of habit. He was good-natured and quiet. He ran the local hardware store, which is how he met Jill Coit, his soon-to-be wife, and his eventual murderer.
What do you think she says to these guys to convince them?
I don't think she can say a whole lot.
Do you think she doesn't tell them?
I think that we're pretty misled on how she looked. Because she's such plain. She looks bad.
But there's not a lot of pictures of her.
She served as a model in Houston in the mid-'60s.
Yeah, but
I'm assuming she was pretty hot.
There's 3 pictures of her that you can find on the internet.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I think that, and this is going to come later. I think that she was scrubbed from the internet pretty hard because she was not allowed to profit from images of herself or her story.
Oh, that makes sense.
through court cases. That was kind of like a big deal.
So you would say that she's was a hottie with a body that had a brain that was naughty?
Yeah.
That's what you say. Yeah.
No question.
Sorry.
No question. Dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you think she's hot? That's how she got.
She held the shoddy like John Gotti.
Oh.
And murdered her husband.
All full circle.
Where are we here?
Yeah. We're talking about
okay, here we go.
hardware.
As mentioned, the two met in Jerry's hardware store as Jill was a constant customer as she was fixing up the motel Carl had bought for her. Jerry had never had much luck in dating, and both he and his family were happy to hear he had finally found someone. After just 7 months of dating, the couple married. While this may have seemed like a spontaneous decision for one such measured as Jerry, he had proposed based on the fact that Jill and him were expecting a child.
Yep.
While Jerry was grateful to have finally found a partner, the web of lies that Jill had spun eventually cut off. Jerry had learned of her past numerous marriages, fake identities, and even the fact that Jill was still married. On top of this, Jerry was still skeptical about Jill's pregnancy.
So how did he find out?
And she was not showing any signs of being pregnant.
Not the pregnant part. How did he find out about the past marriages?
Rumors.
Because she was a talker. She bragged about
to fucking tell her shit.
Because she was bragging about sleeping it up back in the day. So I'm sure she was like, yeah, it was like.
But she was always doing this. Like her whole life, she was trying to tell people how good she was in bed, and this and that, and like eventually it came back to like Jerry, who was moderately like what he would consider a Christian man, and it offended his sensibilities to know that he was married to someone who had been married at this point 7 times.
Yeah, no shit.
Bummer.
That would suck.
Either way,
what would you do if you found out that like you got married and like you found out that she had 7 husbands before that?
That'd be a bummer.
Would you still stay through it?
You'd need to fucking talk about it, I feel like. But
I would run. I'd be done.
It's probably a good idea. Knowing what we know in this case, it's probably a good fucking idea.
I listened to way too much murder to be like, yeah, let's talk this through.
Dude, I feel like fucking Investigation Discovery has like literally like just terrified people of like being able to like enter into relationships like in a non like terrified. Like,
well,
is he nice? He's gonna murder you.
That's one thing though, but literally 7 marriages, I feel like that is something where you can be like, okay, that's a goddamn deal breaker.
Yeah, 7's a lot,
especially if they don't tell you about it.
Yeah, if they don't ever mention it, yeah, it's somewhat of a deal breaker. Right. I think.
Let's get to.
And it was for Jerry.
Yeah, he died
because Jill eventually traveled to Texas, and she phoned Jerry to let him know that she had given birth to a baby girl named Laura. None of this is real. When Jerry went to his family with the information, they supported his skepticism and even claimed that she was scamming him. Jerry agreed and petitioned to have his marriage to Jill annulled.
Yeah.
Jill, in another unique move that had previously made Jerry sign a document claiming she owed Jerry money so that he wouldn't have to pay bad debts. This, combined with other schemes Jill was running, forced Jerry to sue Jill for losses he had incurred during their marriage, mostly in the form of him fixing her hotel or motel for free. This suit, combined with Jerry's removal of Jill from his will, pushed her to the limit. And again, I quote, Gerald was the first to stand up to her, and it cost him his life, said a close friend of Boggs. On October 22nd, 1993, Jerry Boggs would be found dead in his home. There was no indication of forced entry. Boggs had been severely beaten and shot twice in the back, once in the face. Police reports indicate that the scene had been staged to look like a robbery.
How so?
They had taken things out of drawers and thrown them around.
Typical.
Yeah.
So they do every single time. They're like, I didn't murder this person. I just fucking threw things.
I wanted this money, and I looked for everything, but they left his wallet on like a fucking dumbass.
Well, there's no money in this utensil drawer. That's crazy.
I don't want those scissors. They don't mean nothing to me. All right, investigators immediately landed on Jill Coit as the primary suspect in the murder.
Mm-hmm.
However, the scene did not turn up a lot of evidence. Coit was questioned, but claimed to have an alibi that at the time checked out. She claimed to have been camping with her new boyfriend, Michael Backus, in the Hooter Canyon.
Ooh, I know where that is.
Jill was able to produce a receipt for their payment and the check-in of the campground. One eyewitness to the murder claimed to have seen two men dressed as hunters in the alleyway of the Boggs home shortly after hearing gunshots. This honestly led investigators away from Jill. The investigators attempted to say that Jill had murdered Jerry and then gone camping, but to do this, they needed to find an exact time of death. We're going to bring in now what we will call a forensic botanist.
Okay.
This is a story.
Looks for dead plants?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what had happened when Jerry Boggs was murdered? His body was submitted to the University of Colorado, to the forensic botany. They determined that, as was Jerry's habit of going to the store first thing in the morning and leaving at 9 a.m. to go to the shack, which is 100 feet from here.
Mm-hmm. You keep pointing there, but it doesn't mean that people are going to know that's where
it's literally right there.
No, it's over there.
100. No. It's right there.
I digress.
Anyways, the whole case initially was shut down because they were like, oh, hey, he gets bacon, eggs, and hash browns. Well, they found onions in his stomach when they dissected him, as a forensic botanist would. And they were like, hey, he must have been murdered after he had had another meal. So it was at least 4 or 5 p.m. when he had been murdered.
Was it the shack at then, too? That's awesome.
Sometime, this is just something that needs to be mentioned, sometime during the investigation, Jill fled Colorado and went to Vegas, where she married Roy Carroll, her 9th husband and 10th marriage. However, that would be divorced within 1 month. And then as the investigation stalled, a detective decided to go to this Shack Cafe located in Steamboat Springs, where Jerry decided to go to eat his breakfast every single day that he was working at the shop. He noticed that the onions were not in the hash browns, but they would sometimes stick to the spatula that would be used to flip the hash browns when he was cutting up the onions.
Okay.
This was the break in the case the detective needed. They had the obvious motive for Jill, money, and her accomplice, Michael Backus, had served as the means to incapacitate Jerry. And her new accomplice, the new timeline had also given Jill the opportunity to commit the crime.
Yeah.
We have means, motive, and opportunity.
Yep.
Right.
Listen.
The police received a warrant and found the gun used in this crime, fibers from Jerry's clothes in Backus's car, wig and mustache disguises, which would explain why Jill and Backus were mistaken as two hunters.
Where?
In the alleyway right outside of the church.
So they wore wigs to murder him. All right.
They did. It was crazy. It's funny because, like,
do you know where his home was? Do you know where his home was?
6th and Pine.
Everything's right there.
It's literally all right.
Yeah.
Right there. We should mention again, for whatever reason, sometime during the charging phase of the case, it is possible that Coit and Backus were married, so they didn't have to testify against each other. However, that is not confirmed. There are no court documents to reference that. It would make him her 10th husband and her 11th marriage. That's a lot of rings,
what
dude.
What the fuck? I think this is the most I've ever heard of.
Is that Sonic?
I think so.
Sonic doesn't have that many rings, dude.
He has more than that.
The prosecutor during the trial recommended that Backus was the only one twisted enough to join her in her deadly games. We're going to look into right now the arrest issued in 1994. Like we mentioned, they found not just the gun that was involved, but also microfibers in the house that had come from Jerry Boggs' home, as well as a huge factor that led to the arrest was the testimony of her own son, Seth Coit, who honestly claimed to be a big fan of Jerry Boggs. And that's why he claimed to be involved. He said that his mother, on multiple occasions, had contracted him to murder Jerry Boggs. Not just because of the money, but because he was a misogynist that was either bi or gay and masking his marriage with Jill as a way to skirt condemnation from the community.
How it's a misogynist gay person? Oh no, dude. Maybe someone's out there like that, but it seems pretty far-fetched.
Yep. Either way, Seth was a tipping point. He honestly had somehow recorded his calls with his mother and had transcripts of her asking him to murder Jerry Boggs, and also had called him and said, "It's all done, it's all over, he's dead," when, like, within minutes of them actually killing Jerry Boggs. I don't know exactly what the relationship between the two of them was. She seemed to have, like, completely abandoned him for a while, and there's a strange reason why she would, like, go back to supporting their relationship. I don't really understand why she thought he would just go to the ends of the earth for her, but he didn't. He eventually was like, "Hey, this is too much, and I don't really want to get involved with this." She told me she wants him dead. There was a huge nail in her coffin.
Yeah, no shit.
Jill and Michael Backus were arrested in 1994. From an officer present at the arrest, he claimed she was calm, almost smug, like she knew she would walk free. There's lots of testimony, and you can look at the police recordings saying, like, Jill was mostly trying to flirt and, like, get after the cops. It's kind of ridiculous seeing her testimony in this case.
Really?
Yeah. She's still, like, at 55 is, like, trying to pick up on these young cops.
Well,
And
I'll marry you.
she's, like, honestly, like, she's, like, asking them more questions than they're asking her. And she seems to have no remorse or no regret from what she did. She wants to say, like, I'm in charge, and that's all that I really need to know.
I guess if it works, it works.
In 1996, they were convicted, both her and Michael Backus, of first-degree murder, and both were sentenced 40 to life, which is the maximum in Colorado. Doug Boggs, Jerry's brother, claimed that justice was served, but the scars she left will never heal.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Jill Coit, to this day, remains in prison. She somehow maintains her innocence. She has had multiple, let's call it, tests of the legal system. She put out an advertisement asking for green card marriages.
Yeah.
So she'll marry people into the country.
She wants another marriage.
She's just looking for more rings.
I see a couple more.
Yep.
Make me the Tom Brady.
She also
Marriages.
She is the Tom Brady.
Yeah, she's the goat of marriages.
Big time goat, dog, man.
Do you think that
She also claimed, like, there was physical abuse that was done to her. Her finger apparently got smashed one time. And by a guard. All the guards said, like, oh no, some other chick beat the fuck out of her, and she punched her in the face and swole her. Like, her own finger was swollen from it.
What do you think the record is in marriages? Who do you think's been married the most times? So I feel like 11. 11's a lot.
11's high.
I'm going to look it up real quick.
All right. While Jamie looks that up, I think that, like, we can kind of just discuss the endings of this case. It's crazy to think that we only know of the two maybe murders. William Clark Coit Jr. was never attributed to Jill Coit, but the similarities can't be ignored. And the same gun, literally the same gun, was used in both murders. We can't ignore that. Now, that gun was never found, but the biggest thing, are we drunk enough to have any of this fucking story make sense?
Yes.
This makes sense to you?
Yes.
Why didn't she do it?
No. Because she's fucking wanted, like, doesn't like to hear no, and she doesn't like when someone else doesn't believe in what she says. I found it, though.
All right, what's her record?
Obviously it's real.
It's got to be some kind of like
I think if we got drunk, we would not think it was good, this whole story. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm wondering if like we can even understand it.
No,
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense as I was writing this whole outline. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. She's fucking out of control. There's nothing, like, she's just bouncing from person to person to person.
No, she just doesn't get what she wants, so she'll go somewhere else. And then, like, if she murdered 2 people because she wanted.
At least. That's the tough part, is that we have this, like, and we mentioned this earlier, we have this middle age in her 40s and 50s that we straight up don't know anything about. Because when she married Louis DeRosa, who eventually became a judge in New Orleans, supplying her with fake IDs and all of this fake documentation that, like, got her out of everything.
Is he still a judge?
I don't know about his deal. I hope not to. Yeah, he should probably be disbarred.
All right, are you ready for the record?
25.
I'm gonna read it to you. Yep. So Glenn Scotty Wolf, 1908 to 1997, is known for having
1908?
Yep. 1908 to 1997 is known for having the most monogamous marriages in history, with 29 marriages confirmed by the Guinness World Records. The American Baptist minister and hotel owner from California married for the first time in 1926 and continued to marry throughout his life until death in 1997. Although some of his marriages are unconfirmed and one was annulled, Wolf's record receives a lot of attention on social media. No shit.
Good for him.
Yeah, and this one says Wolf was married 31 times. So
is it surprising at all that he's a religious reverend? I don't know.
No.
Probably not.
No.
Anyways.
We could talk about the church at a different time, but I think we all know how we feel about it.
Jamie, what do we got for next episode?
I don't fucking know.
Neither do I. Folks, if you have something you think we should cover, we're kind of in the gray area. We really don't know what we're going to do next. So
we'll figure something out.
We should cover.
So, you see that?
Oh, that's a big old thumb.
I don't know why they keep coming out from Riverside. So, I would like to... That was it, right?
That's it.
We're done. In conclusion,
guys,
I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends' parents,
your enemies,
friends' parents. Tell all of them to please like and subscribe this so we can continue doing this while he just keeps boxing. And also, tagline, make sure to drink down those demons, but responsibly.
Cheers.